Those pesky Arizona Cardinals always giving the Philadelphia Eagles some fits. And speaking of fits, because the pun is absolutely intended, Larry Fitzgerald, over the last 8 games against the Eagles, including the postseason, 50 receptions for 845 yards and 11 touchdowns. Oh, my God. Oh, how are the Eagles going to stop him? That's what it comes down to on Sunday. So, James Worthington is here. I'm Adrian Fetke. It's time for some Eagles and Cardinals preview action. Let's go.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's going to be a little bit of a different story this time around. The Cardinals are missing their best offensive player, which is going to help us. But Larry Fitzgerald, man, it seems it doesn't matter what the conditions are. He's always killed us. And I'm still not over that 08 championship game. I never will be.
Did that, I know we always talk about the 2004 team being, obviously that was the best team, the one that should have won a Super Bowl. But that 2008 team was the one that should have won because that was the year that was just like craziness and all that parity because Pittsburgh won that year. And in 2008, back at, was it week 2 or week 3, the Eagles beat the Steelers. It was 15-6. 2008 was the year to win the Super Bowl, damn it.
2008 would have been nice, man. I remember coming all the way back. I remember exactly where I was, and I remember the feeling when we lost it, man. And, Kurt Warner, hell of a quarterback, Larry Fitzgerald, Hall of Fame receiver, but it was typical Eagles. We shot ourselves in the foot just like we did in the 02 team. I'll say we also could have won that year. Wasn't the best team, but the circumstances were right, and we ran the ball down Tampa's throat, and let's not get all over that. But, the feel of this team this year, man, it feels different than what a normal Eagles team feels like. The Eagles, as long as I can remember, have kind of beat themselves. They've always, for the most part, had the talent. And it would just come down to, as Chip Kelly used to say, execution. But it really did. And this team, that last drive of the last week, man, that really showed me. Because everybody knows, I picked the Chargers. And they put them away, man. And it's, the fans showing up there was awesome. It helped a lot. But that drive that Peterson put together with Wentz, that was unbelievable. The offensive line dominated. And it just has a way different feel around this team this year.
Yeah, and we're going to get into Doug Peterson in the running game in a bit because that's going to be important. And we're going to get into some of the differences now because, the run defense is improved. So does Doug Peterson have to stick to it in this, to stick with the run if it's struggling? So in the matchup, the Cardinals have won 5 of the last 6 games between the teams. Wow. So that's about to change on Sunday. And the reason why I think is that I don't think the Cardinals are that good. I think Bruce Arians is stubborn. I think he's going to keep doing his deep vertical passing attack. And if he does, Carson Palmer is going to be riding in an ambulance.
Oh, 100%. And look at the way they've run the football since David Johnson's left. It's been pretty much next to nothing. So, if Bruce Arians sticks to his guns and wants to go with this vertical passing game that takes a while to develop, our D-line is going to eat them alive. We've said it every week. The way to beat this defense is the short dink and dunks, the slants, the quick hits. And Bruce Arians is a stubborn guy. He wants to open the offensive playbook up. He wants to take shots down the field, and he also likes to get a little tricky here and there. And a good defensive line, a good pass rush is pretty much the antidote to that. So, if they're smart, they're going to utilize Larry Fitzgerald in the slot and find him inside all day. But I don't see it. I pretty much everything I've seen about the Cardinals dictates that they dictate like they want to stretch the field. And, they might think they have the talent to do it because of our corners being a little weak, but, they're not going to have enough time. Carson Palmer doesn't have any pocket mobility at all. How old is he now? 37, 36?
Yeah.
He might end up in a coffin, man.
Yeah. They're without Mike Iupati now. He's hurt. DJ Humphries, their left tackle, hasn't been very good. Alex Boone, AQ Shipley, those guys aren't bad, but
Valdir they got too, right?
They got Valdir, yeah. That was the former Raider that came over a couple off seasons ago. But that offensive line is not going to hold up if Arians wants to go deep pass attack. The way that they're going to win, if they want to win, is to match up Fitz in the slot against Patrick Robinson. And this is going to be really interesting because Robinson is a guy that has really emerged from the slot position, but this is a different animal right here. This is Larry Fitzgerald.
100%. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame player. I mean, you saw their game-winning touchdown last week and then his huge performance the week before. I mean, he's not going to run by you, but he does, the things right to get open. He finds those open spaces. He uses his big body to kind of, almost like a basketball player, like just kind of like position himself to get the ball. It's really impressive. And I mean, as much as, I hate him because he's killed us, I respect the hell out of his game. And I honestly think also another X factor is Andre Ellington out of the backfield. I think he had a pretty good game last week, if I remember correctly, and he's always been dynamic. It's just, they got David Johnson kind of took over for him. So I think if they utilize those two players, it could be, it could be a long day for our defense because we do give up yards, man. We do. But if you I don't know if you feel the same way about me, but I don't think anybody's running on us. That's for sure.
No. The yards per carry is like worse than it should be because you got the 2 long runs. So as long as they limit the big plays in the running game, they only average like 3 yards per carry. That's the problem. You've had 53-yard touchdown, and then we saw last week Austin Eckler broke off a 35-yard touchdown run as well. So if you take those 2 runs away, great yards per carry average, but they did happen. So that, okay, it does sometimes allow some big plays, not only in the running game, but in the passing game as well. I mean, it was 13-0. All of a sudden, you allow a 75-yard touchdown pass. So I don't know if you know this stat, but I don't know if you saw it, but the one that I wrote about, the Chargers had 9 possessions, and their first 5, they only attempted 4 quick passes and only scored 7 points. And then over their last 4, they attempted 18 quick passes and scored 17 points. So it's very clear that if you have a quick passing game, you can shred the Eagles' defense. Bruce Arians is just simply not going to do that. And that's why I feel confident that the Eagles are going to not only win this game, but kind of win it pretty handily. I don't think everyone else feels that way because of the series history, but I don't think these are the same 2 teams as the series history suggests.
Well, I would definitely say it's not. I mean, obviously the turnover with the Eagles since, when Larry Fitz pretty much killed us all those years. But, I mean, that's what everybody looks at is the series history and more like the Larry Fitzgerald history. And everybody's afraid of that, and they know we'd have weaknesses in the pass game. So, I mean, I can understand where they're coming from, but it's just you're right. It's 2 completely different teams, especially this Eagles football team. I mean, the way the offensive line's playing right now, we're going to keep their offense off the field. We're going to keep our defense fresh, which is going to be huge, absolutely huge, I think. And to go back to your point about the Chargers with their, once they started with the short passes, that also, brings us up more. And then they hit us on the deep ball a couple of times. Like it was good offensive play calling. I think, like you said, Bruce Arians is more stubborn. I think he's going to be. He believes in himself and his philosophy. So it'll be interesting to see. I think they're going to take some deep shots. I think you'll see a couple to John Brown, who's I think getting pretty much fully back to health now. I know he was banged up. And J.J. Nelson and Jaron Brown, they've been pretty solid in spots this year. So it's like they have talent at the wide receiver position for sure. But their offensive line, if they do these like 5-7 step dropbacks trying to take shots down the field, it's just not going to hold up. So Bruce Arians, if he's smart, will take a page out of the Chargers playbook, out of what the Giants did in the second half, and they will do the quick passes. I mean, they have, I would say, one of the best receivers in the NFL to just run slants against his defense. Larry Fitzgerald is unbelievable, man. I can't say enough about him. So it remains to be seen, but I'm with you. I think the Eagles are going to handle this game and be in the driver's seat for the most part.
We'll see what happens in the running game. This is where I'm really interested to see how it goes the next couple weeks because the run defenses are a lot better. So you look at the statistics. And I like looking at yards per carry. I don't like looking at yards allowed per game because each situation is different. Like you take a team that stinks, for example, and they're always down. Obviously, you're going to run the ball more, so you're going to be susceptible to allowing more yards per game. So that's why I like looking at the yards per carry metric. And you look at Arizona's run defense, 3.2 yards per carry allowed. While the offense kind of stinks and it's kind of stagnant, and I'm not crazy about it, and the offensive line stinks, The defense is very good, and we'll see if the Eagles can run the ball, because you look at the Chargers, 4.9 yards per carry, 28th, and then the Giants, 4.6, which is 25th. So those two run defense, 33 design runs against the Giants, 36 against the Chargers. What is Doug Peterson going to do against the Cardinals now that it's better?
I mean, yeah, that's been the question. Like, you look at the stats, it's easy to go, okay, we're running the football this week because of how bad the running defenses were. Doug Peterson's history suggests he's pass happy. I said last week he was going to stay that way, but he didn't. I'm not fully aware of how much of it is Wentz checking to a run, because he was saying kill a lot last week. But, I mean, I'd like to think him and Peterson are pretty much on the same page. But, I mean, I'm assuming Peterson gives him kind of like the formation, the play, and Wentz knows what his checkdowns are. So it is honestly on Doug's shoulders to put Wentz and the offense in a position to succeed. That being said, this is a much more, much more talented defense. They have speed and athleticism at all three levels. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu is going to come up. He's not afraid to hit. Yeah. Deon Buchanan, he's going to be healthier, and he's a freak athletically. But then again, look at the way our offensive line's been playing. So I would like to. I think it's a little bit of both. I'd like to think it's more of our offensive line, but how bad the opponents were against the run. It will make them look better. But, I mean, Kelsey's been playing out of his mind, the whole group. So I think they're going to try and establish it. This would be what the smart thing would be to do, is to try and establish the run, get Blunt busy early. I'm actually not sure how much Smallwood's going to play. I don't know.
Well, he's got a knee injury. He might be out. He might not be playing.
If he's out, like, that's got to be more touches for Blunt, Clement, and I guess Barner. But I mean, I want to see him get Blunt going early. He's running angry. The offensive line, like Carson said, is playing pissed off. And I'm glad this city, what the reporters are saying, what the fans are saying, it seems like it lit a fire under their asses, honestly. And that's how you want your offensive line to play. So I say, if I was Doug Peterson, I'd look to establish it early. Whether it works or not, you got to stick with it. But, I'm always going to be afraid of Doug getting pass happy, because until he proves it after 3-4 weeks in a row, I'm still going to have that in the back of my mind.
I definitely think the offensive line, I agree with you, that it's a big reason why they've been so successful. I mean, you look at Jason Kelsey's playing out of his mind. Jason Peters as well has been outstanding. Stefan Wisniewski, I don't know why Chance Warmack is still splitting time, but whatever.
100% with you there.
Yeah. So they're still taking a chance with Chance, and it's not really working out with them. I think that they need to run the ball up the middle. I feel like the Cardinals' defense, because of how athletically they move, because you're gonna have Deon Buchanan, the way he flies around. You got your first round pick in Hassan Reddick, Temple made, the way he's gonna fly around. You brought up Tyrann Mathieu. I think it's going to be difficult to kind of run those sweep plays against the Cardinals, the way they go sideline to sideline. So I think if you can establish Blunt up the middle, I think that's where they're going to find success.
Yeah, and with Smallwood potentially being out, then we really need to go away from that off-tackle kind of outside sweep stuff. I mean, we can obviously keep the defense honest, but the offensive line wants to run it between the tackles. LeGarrette Blount wants to run it between the tackles. And Carson Wentz is content with managing a game, making plays when it's needed, and getting the win. He's like one of the only Eagle-less quarterbacks, I'd say, in the NFL. And I'm happy we have him. I mean, and I like that his fingerprints are getting involved with the play calling, because he's probably the smartest guy in the freaking building, honestly. I think that's going to be the formula for success for this team. You look at Wisniewski, he's a little undersized, but he's playing great. Kelsey, too. After he had a shaky week 1 and, an okay game against Kansas City, he stepped it up. I mean, we're hot right now up front, and I say, in football, you win at the line of scrimmage. So the offensive line was supposed to be a top 5 unit. They've played like it the past 2 weeks. Keep the momentum going. Why stop it, man? If we get pass happy again, we start taking shots early and 2 or 3 passes a series, 3 and outs. Like, it's not a formula to win the game. The way this offense is going to succeed is controlling the time of possession and just basically physically defeating the defense. And that's what I think.
I think you have to try and run the ball against the Cardinals. I really like their secondary, even though their second cornerback may not be the best. I really like their safeties.
Yeah.
So you have to watch out for every little overthrow. I mean, the way that Wentz sometimes sails the ball. And if he sails the ball a couple times, you're going to have Tyrann Mathieu lurking. You're going to have Tyvin Branch lurking. You're going to have guys that, I mean, Patrick Peterson, one of the best cornerbacks in the league. You can argue he is the best. So I wouldn't really want to throw the ball that much against the Cardinals. I want to run the ball up the middle with Blunt and establish that if you can. And if they don't early on, that's going to be interesting to see. That's what I'm, wanting to see is if they're struggling early, I don't want them to get away from it. And that's what I'm afraid of.
Well, I mean, you look back to the Chiefs game. They struggled to run the football against us all game. Then they busted a big one. So it pays to stay loyal to your run game. And they, like I just said, they have speed at all three levels. So, yeah, that's going to come into play with, the outside runs. But it's also in the pass game. Like, Deion Buchanan and Hassan Reddick are fast. Wentz might see something and they might react to it and be able to catch up.
That's a great point.
It's crazy, man. It's a little scary. Like, people said last week was a trap game. We might lose it. I'm not saying this week's a trap game. I mean, and I love the home field advantage our crowd brings. Like, honestly, I do. But it's just, we both think they're going to win handily. Don't sleep on Arizona, though, because they still have talent. And although they've not looked that good this year, you still got to come to play. And I think that is the difference with this team this year is they are coming to play week in and week out. And they know. I don't know if you saw Doug's post-game speech to the players, but he said, I need you for 11 days. We've got Sunday. We've got a quick turnaround with Carolina, and then we have a big break. So, going into that, kind of this big stretch, they know in the back of their heads they get through this. If they're 5-1, they have 11 days before they play the Redskins at home. You don't want to look ahead too far, but 5-1 going into Monday Night Football against probably a 4-2 Redskins team. I mean, that's what you want, man. So, and I think this team's focused. It has great leadership led by Carson, and they play hard for Doug. So I do expect them to come out and play well.
If the Cardinals win this game, it'll be because Doug Peterson gets away from the run game too early. Wentz gets pass happy, and that Cardinals defense, they get a pick six. Because I don't know what the stats are, but it seems like the Cardinals return more pick sixes than any defense in the league. I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems that way.
I mean, they had speed like Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, and Tyvin Branch is
really good.
Very fast, and he's great. So, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, that they do. I don't know if they do or not.
I'm going to see if I can look that up. Watch, I'm probably completely wrong.
Well, I mean, I know that they're, from a fantasy perspective, the defensive special teams unit is always top 8. And Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu last year when they were healthy were making plays all over the field. I think Tyrann, he got hurt last year, right? He had a season.
Yeah.
And then they weren't the same after that. I mean, I think you and I both before the season, we thought the Cardinals were bouncing back.
Yeah, I was wrong.
Who foresaw the David Johnson injury?
Yeah, the David Johnson injury. Hold on. I'm going to look at because Arizona has been playing terrible competition. They look awful. They look like they're not they're 2-2.
They're not
3, 0-14. They're 2-2.
Both their victories are overtime wins against shitty.
Yeah. The 0-4 Giants and the 0-4 Chargers are both better than the Cardinals.
Yeah, unless this is a Cardinals team that for some reason makes the old Eagles in place of their competition, man. I know you remember that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm looking at their schedule. I remember that Lions game because actually the Cardinals actually played well in that game, and then the fourth quarter the Lions just went off.
Yeah, and Carson had 3 picks too.
Yeah, he just started throwing picks. Yeah, here a pick, there a pick, everywhere a Carson pick.
Yeah, and then they beat the Colts.
They beat the Colts by 3. They beat the
Andrew Luck.
And then they lost to the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think the Eagles are going to win. I think it's going to be they're not going to blow anybody out unless the game is just some fluke things happen. This isn't a blow a team out type team. They're a grind their way, get to the fourth quarter and make plays to win. We'll get to predictions later. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to feel a lot like the Chargers game. We'll be in control. We're going to be, doing our thing. It's just this defense does have a tendency to give up big plays, and I can see at least one happening, unfortunately, knowing Bruce Arians. But for the most part, I mean, I do expect our defensive line to really fill the stat sheet. It's been a couple weeks since we've had some big stat lines. I mean, I think week 1 we had like 6 sacks, and then Kansas City, I don't remember how many we had, but I know New York and
it was 4 and 4. And then they had 0 against the Giants and 2 against the Chargers.
Yeah, so I'm expecting us to get back to like 3-4 sacks. And at the end of the day, sacks are good, but it's also about quarterback hurries, quarterback hits.
Yes.
Which, that's why, if you remember last year, Brandon Graham was the king of quarterback hurries and hits, but finishing. So, I mean, and I think is Fletcher Cox, he's looking like he might play, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll look at the injury report tomorrow because that'll get a better indication, I think. So
yeah, and I mean, Bo Allen played pretty damn good in his.
Yeah, I honestly I don't want to say that they don't need Fletcher Cox, but they can make do without him.
Yeah, no, that's the best place to lose the guys is their front 4 on defense. We have.
Yeah, they have so much depth, dude. They have 8, 9 guys deep, man. They got guys in the practice squad that are ready to come up and play well.
I know we hate Elliott Shore-Parks, but he did say one good thing. He's like, you could go into a game with Chris Long, Derek Barnett, Bo Allen, and Elijah Qualls, and it's not terrible. Our backups are pretty freaking good there. So, I mean,
I'll give him credit there. He got that one right. He doesn't always get it right. He still thinks Jordan Matthews is better than Alshon Jeffrey.
Oh my God.
He can't let things go. Okay.
He was so attached to Jordan Matthews, man. He was the biggest Jordan Matthews advocate.
He was also attached to Colin Kaepernick.
I'm glad. I mean, I don't care about, his whole anthem protest. Just I never thought he was that good of a quarterback to begin with.
Yeah.
I've never been a big, run first quarterback type guy. Yeah, he was good. The way that his team got to the freaking Super Bowl was that defense, man.
Yeah.
Their defense was unbelievable. Patrick Willis, I wish he was still playing, dude. He was a beast.
Him and Navarro Bowman, you had all those guys. Yeah. But anyway, let's get back to I want to get into Alshon Jeffrey a little bit. So he's got 17 receptions on 34 targets. I believe he's got 8 receptions against the number 1 corner on the opposing team. So he's kind of struggling against number 1 corners. He's got 215 yards receiving, which could be more if Carson Wentz put the ball on the money a couple times. I'm still trying to get a read on Alshon. I don't think I think by this time the season's over, I think he and Wentz will build more of a rapport. There's something I'm noticing right now that they just don't have, and that's the back shoulder connection.
Oh yeah.
And that's what Jeffrey does best. They need to figure that out for Alshon Jeffrey to be successful.
Well, I actually heard something on the radio this morning. Ray Didinger was talking, and it makes perfect sense. And he watches these games multiple times, so I didn't notice it, but he knows his stuff. And he said what Carson has with Zach Ertz is he knows where Ertz is going to be, and the ball is there. With Torrey Smith and Alshon, he said he almost waits till he makes eye contact with them to throw the football because he's not confident in where they're going to be. And you can tell, when Wentz throws to Ertz, it looks so much smoother. And he even said that's part of the reason why he sometimes holds the ball too long is because he doesn't have the confidence to know, in the chemistry with them, to know where they're going to be. So I think that is something that's going to develop as the season goes. I mean, Alshon missed how many days at camp? Torrey Smith barely played in the preseason. So, and obviously Alshon barely did either. So it's got to be something they work on. They've got to be working on week in, week out of practice, and obviously as the games go. But it's just different. It's completely different to the eye seeing Wentz throw to Ertz and seeing Wentz throw to Alshon and Torrey. But, I mean, if this team is going to win the division and go to the playoffs and, make some noise, he better develop that with them because that's what we brought those 2 guys in to do. I mean, Torrey also needs to catch a damn ball.
Yeah, Torrey just stinks. He's terrible.
Matt Collins time, man.
Yeah, I've been trying to tell Doug Peterson. He doesn't listen though.
Howie listens, right?
Yeah. Well, as long as Joe is telling him what to do.
100%, man. Joe Douglas, man. He is the one of the most underrated offseason acquisitions for this team.
Yeah. He's the most important acquisition of the Eagles in the past 25 years. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
but he's up there.
He's up there. No, seriously. I mean, the Timmy Jernigan that was his guy. Timmy Jernigan has been arguably the best free agent acquisition not arguably, he has been the best free agent acquisition we've had. The guy's an absolute monster, and that was Joe Douglas. Also, I mean, Joe Douglas helped in the draft. Yeah, we've had a couple, we haven't seen much from Barnett yet, but I think he's been playing better than people are giving him credit for.
I agree.
And Joe Douglas, to step in and start, yeah, he had a rough game last week, but he's in the position Jalen Mills was. So I'm just happy that Rasul Douglas is coming in and competing. He's not getting burnt every play. Yeah, he got burnt a couple times. The one was really bad, but that's what you expect out of a physical. He's not like a technique coverage corner. He's a physical playmaker.
Yeah. All right, so I want to get back to Jeffrey for a second because, all right, so the rapport needs to be built between those two, but we also saw obviously a lot of improvement with the deep ball actually last week with Wentz and the perfect trajectory that he had on the seam passes. We saw Torrey Smith, that perfect dart that he dropped. But the two other balls to Ertz and Aguilar were perfect, right on the money. So it seems like he's got the deep ball down a little bit better and the trajectory, because that was a problem before. But the back shoulder ball, Brendan and I broke it down yesterday. I mean, that one throw, he doesn't throw it high enough. He doesn't throw it high enough, and he doesn't throw it off the back shoulder yet. I think that's just a ball that Wentz just struggles with. He just hasn't figured out how to throw that ball to Jeffrey. And even if you remember last year with some of the fade routes around the goal line, he just struggles with that pass.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a confidence thing because, he's afraid to turn it over. Because, a back shoulder pass, it's at first looks like a bad throw, but you need to trust your receiver to make the play. I mean, I wouldn't say, going back to what you just said, last week's, they were far throws, but they weren't the deep balls that Wentz has missed on, in my opinion. I mean, he looked better. I thought Wentz played a great game, but I'm still looking for him to hit a 50, 60-yard, air yard.
Yeah.
And, the one, I don't know, I remember how far it was, but Alshon did just straight drop it. And the one, the play against the Giants, that was, he threw it up and Alshon came and got it. I think it's just Wentz needs to be confident in Alshon is going to make the play. He's going to go make a 50-50 ball, a 70, 80%, ball for the offense. And it's going to come down to the confidence. Going back to the back shoulder, yeah, he did struggle with the fades last year and the back shoulder passes he's struggling with. I mean, those are NFL throws. He is coming from North Dakota State where his, holding onto the ball, extending the play worked a lot more there than it does in the NFL. The left-handed, kind of throw the ball away stuff, I want him to get away from that. As much as I appreciate it from a playmaking standpoint, it's sketchy, man. Yeah. So, I mean, the back shoulder passes, I think it's going to come. My worry is down the line because I don't think we're gonna see Wentz improve as the year goes. Yes, but I don't think I think the throws he struggles on now, you're not going to see much improvement until maybe next season. I think the deep ball is going to get better, but that back shoulder throw, that is an NFL throw, and I think he's still going to struggle with it. And what worries me is if we don't re-sign Jeffrey, because he's building chemistry with him now. A full offseason with him healthy would do wonders. And if we don't bring him back, which if we have to franchise tag him, it's debatable if we will. I mean, it's pretty much then we're bringing in another number one receiver for Wentz to have to do this all over again.
I think Jeffrey's going to re-sign.
I hope so, man.
I'm fairly confident that's going to happen. I feel like over time they will develop more of a chemistry. I mean,
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and we've seen what Zach Ertz is doing right now. I mean,
that's amazing.
He's finally breaking out. Obviously, this was the year that I said that he wouldn't break out, and here we go, making me stupid.
Hey man, I was never as happy to be wrong as I was last Sunday. So
Yeah, it's like that's the funny thing is it's not what I want. It's not that I want to be right. I say what I see.
yeah,
And sometimes I don't see the right things. Maybe I don't know. I got it wrong this time.
we're all human, man. We're all human. I mean, and we try to take our bias out of it. If you and I were biased on here every week, we predicting 40-0 victories.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, and it's important to stay unbiased because Philly fans are some of the most biased fans in the world. So to be able to be unbiased about the team, like, yeah, I predicted the loss. You said Ertz, it wasn't going to happen, but to be able to be unbiased, it's a big thing because we have a big stereotype of being pretty much off our rockers. But yeah, no, Wentz and Ertz, like, they hung out together all off season. Like, they seem to be boys pretty much. And in my opinion, that's a big thing. Just, having that relationship, that friendship, like Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison type thing. Like,
I'm sure they cuddle together. They have like pillows.
Hey man, I mean, it seems like Ertz is just getting into like the whole like him and Wentz have bonded over like religion and I think they're both just like football guys first. So they definitely hung out together all off season and you can see like it's paying off, man. Ertz is probably the best tight end in the league statistically so far.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Which is impressive, man.
Yeah. All right. It's reached the point of the show. We'll make predictions and pretty much hop out of here.
All right.
I think I made my pick already, but maybe I didn't. I don't remember. But you.
Well, I think by now everybody knows we're both going Eagles, but it comes to the score. I've got the Eagles 27-16. I don't think it's going to be like a blowout by any means. I think it's going to be a typical. The Eagles are in control. They're ahead the whole game. It's going to be like 20-13. I think Arizona's going to put a field goal up, and I think that around 3 minutes left in the game, we're going to put a touchdown in to seal it. I've got, pretty much. I think LeGarrett's going to get at least one this week. He's pretty much overdue for a touchdown, and I think Carson's going to he's going to find success. I don't think he's going to hit that deep ball, but now that I said that, watch, it'll happen. I don't think they're going to take that many shots deep. I think that they're just going to methodically pick this defense apart, move down the field, and play, game control, clock control football. And that's how this team's going to win week in and week out. I mean, last week, it really showed me that this team has taken the next step forward. I think we are by far and away the favorite to win the division. And if we're going to do that, you do not lose a game to the Cardinals, this Cardinals team at home. So 27-16, book it.
Yeah. If Doug Peterson listens to me, the Eagles will win 23-10. So you run the ball at Garrett Blount 15 to 20 times. You run it up the middle. I'm trying to kind of stay away from the sweep stuff a little bit, but not that you still have to run it, obviously. But I want to run predominantly up the middle against that defense. I'm scared of the athleticism going sideline to sideline. But that is what the O-line does best. So it'll be interesting to see. If you get into a mode, if the Eagles lose this game, I kind of talked about this earlier, but if the Eagles lose this game, it'll be because of Doug Peterson. It'll be because Carson Wentz throws the ball 40 times. And if he throws the ball 40 to 50 times, there is a chance that he throws a pick six. So if you have a pick six, and then if the defense gives up a long play like they've been doing in the secondary recently, that's 14 points. And all of a sudden, that Cardinals offense, which isn't so futile, all of a sudden they only need like maybe 2 or 3 field goals to potentially win the game. So that's not what I want to see. So I want to see the Eagles really try to establish the running game and really just I think they're going to be kicking a lot of field goals. I don't think they're going to be scoring touchdowns. So that's why I have maybe they score 2 touchdowns, but I got 23-10. I don't have them scoring a crazy amount of points or anything.
Yeah, I mean, it really is going to come down to the play calling and sticking to the run. I mean, for sure. I also think it's going to come down to this team responds, as cliche as it sounds, they respond to the crowd. They really do. And I was there for the Giants game.
Yeah, you're there. You would know.
We got quiet when they were coming back. And when Sterling Shepard scored that long touchdown, it was dead. And it took them scoring for the crowd to wake back up, and then you know what happened. They feed off the crowd. They say it in the media. I mean, look at in L.A. It was pretty much a home game. Look at the advantage it gave the Eagles. Without that, I'm not sure if they win the football game. But as soon as you heard it on TV, you knew, like, the Eagles, when you saw that first drive, they were winning. So they really do respond to the crowd noise, and I think that that's going to be a big, big impact. But if we start slow, or if we give up a pick six, or if we give up a big play, I hate to say it because I'm there, but it does seem to take something out of the crowd. And you don't want that. You want the crowd loud when the opposing team has the ball. So, I think that, even if we do give up a big play, eventually we'll be back in it. But the crowd noise is going to be a huge factor. Carson Palmer is old. He's slow. He's going to end up in a stretcher. So that's. I
don't feel like the Cardinals' offense is going to score points. Like I said, if they score points, it's going to be in other areas. It's like I know what's going to happen. If the Cardinals win and they get like a pick six, Eagles fans are going to say, "Oh, they got lucky because they got a pick six." It's not an accident if they get a pick six.
No.
It'll be because Doug Peterson starts throwing the ball too much.
Yeah, and they'll get a read on us. Carson will make an error, which is the more you throw, the more you expose your young quarterback to making errors. And this deep defensive backfield is no joke. This defense is no joke.
Yes.
So
that's why I'm afraid. Like if Patrick Peterson jumps around or Matthew jumps around, all of a sudden that changes the whole game around.
Yeah, or if Carson doesn't see one of these guys. Like, they have speed all over. And, it really does. And it sucks the enthusiasm out of the crowd, which, again, that's a big thing. But I just, we're a better football team. Like,
we are. We should win this game. We should win this game by double digits. We should handle them.
That's why I got the 11, man. And that's why I got the Cardinals at 16. 1 touchdown and 3 field goals.
Yeah. They do kick a bunch of field goals. That's what they do. Maybe I should say 23-9 and say they don't even score a touchdown. They just score 3 field goals.
I like that better.
I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go 23-9.
I like that prediction. That's good.
There you go. I'll go 23-9. All right. So final thoughts. You got anything else you want to say?
I mean, anybody that's watching, that's going into the stadium, bring your voice and don't give up. I don't care if we're down. I don't care whatever. They need us, man. The 12th man's a real deal in Philly. So bring your voice and let's go Birds, man. This team really looks like a playoff team to me right now.
There it is, baby. And we'll see as the season kind of goes along. I don't want to get too jumpy yet, but, you got Green Bay and Seattle kind of doing their thing of starting slow during the regular season. So things might open up for even potential 2 seed, but that's way down the line and way too early to talk about because the Redskins and Cowboys are still nipping at our tails, even though we don't want to admit it. So we just got to keep winning, and when the time comes, we will bring it up and we will talk about it. But until then, it's 3-1. It's 1 game at a time, as Coach's cliche says. It's time to beat up on the Cardinals. Let's put Carson Wentz out on the stretcher. That's James Worthington. I'm Adrian.
Wrong Carson.
Did I say Carson Wentz?
Yes, you did.
Oh my God, Carson.
Correct that before we sign off.
Hold on. I'm knocking on wood. There you go. I just ruined our season.
Hey, man, it's Carson versus Carson, and ours is better. So
I did say Carson Wentz, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, man.
Oh, fuck.
I would never interrupt you like that if you didn't.
No, thank God you did, dude. I don't want Carson Wentz out on the stretcher.
Couldn't sign off. If something happens to him, I'm coming for you, man.
It's my fault. I'm gonna get murdered. Fucking Steve Paddock's gonna come out from death and gun me down.
EDP will fly out here, man.
Yeah.
Nah, man, we'll be all right.
EDP is very worried about this game. We've been talking.
Well, EDP's worried about every freaking game, man.
Well, he wasn't worried about the Giants game, and then we almost freaking lost.
Yeah, so at least we caught you, man, because Carson Wentz is staying on 2 feet.
It's a good call, and I did knock on the wood, so I think we're good. So
you're good.
We'll end it on that note. All right, that's James Worthington. I'm Adrian Fedq. Carson Palmer out on a stretcher. There you go. Peace.